Hello and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm Doug Smith, and my special guest this week is Brenda Duran, the chair of the Friends of the Glen Manor House. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you, Doug, for having me.
Before we get started with our discussion today about the Glen Manor House, I'd like to show you all a short video of just to get an idea of the beauty of the place.
You'd be amazed at the beauty of this hidden spot down on the island of Quiddick Island in the center of Portsmouth. It's a world away from everything else.
The environment is so conducive to a great party that anything goes.
You really could do any kind of event here. A wedding, of course, is perfect, but a corporate event would work. So if you have a 30-person company or a 150-person company, you can expand and use all the space, or you can, just use a couple of the rooms. And you can break up your event where you have maybe cocktail hour outside, move into the ballroom for a presentation, and then have some tables set up in the other rooms for people to mingle, to network.
I like the Glen because of all the different locations and backdrops that the Glen offers. It has a water view, it has a beautiful garden, has classic architecture, it has almost a country manor setting. So you can see yourself sitting out on the lawn, having a cocktail, and in front of you is the water view. You can watch the sailboats pass by. It's just very comfortable, it feels homey, yet it's very upscale.
It's very easy to do any kind of event here. Almost any color works for a color scheme, and almost any aspect of decor is terrific. It's particularly nice for events that are more classic, elegant, sophisticated, but really lots of my clients have done all sorts of things, and even the most modern look can be terrific here.
Well, when it comes to being a photographer, we're all about eye candy. We want beautiful backgrounds. We want stuff that adds to the story. We have this beautiful location, gorgeous window light that flows in from inside. We have beautiful grounds that we can work on. We feel energized to do it. The brides love it. The grooms are very comfortable downstairs having a drink on the patio, and the guests have a certain wow factor that they just look around in every direction. There's a beautiful picture or there's a beautiful scene.
We work at venues all over southern New England, and a lot of places we work don't even have a kitchen. The kitchen here is state-of-the-art. It's just so great for our chefs to use.
So instead of spending our time traveling to and from different locations, we're very close to the gardens. Our formals can be done immediately out in the yard. The reception is only minutes away where we can go back inside. Cake cutting is in the next room. Dancing is just, a few steps into the next room. So it's very easy, it's stress-free to work at the Glen because everything is at our fingertips.
When I recommend Glen Manor to my clients, it's not just because it's a beautiful spot, but it's because it's run incredibly efficiently. Katie is very organized, she's very pleasant. Dawn takes beautiful care of the grounds, and everything is pristine all the time.
It's just a pleasure to work with them. They're there when you need them, and yet they're always in the background, unseen, unobtrusive.
What I find that I hear from my Glen Manor clients is that they've just fallen in love. It's so beautiful, Katie and Dawn are so great, and it's definitely a venue that you can fall in love with.
If I was going to describe the mood at the Glen on any particular day of an event, it would be relaxed.
It's a very high caliber of vendor that works here, and we have a great synergy.
It's very easy to work at the Glen with other wedding professionals in the area and event professionals. We all have a job to do, and Katie ties that in very seamlessly.
When you're having an event here, you feel like it's your space. You don't see other people, you don't see tourists, you don't see all sorts of other things going on, and you just feel like it's all about you and what you're doing. And that is very unusual in the industry of events.
I think that Katie and Don have a certain pride in the beauty of the house, in the grounds, in the fact that it's here in our hometown in Portsmouth. They want people to go away with a unique experience and to tell their friends.
I have extreme confidence and therefore can recommend to my clients that without a doubt your event at Glen Manor will go off without a hitch, and it's because of the people that are behind the place.
Okay, I think you can see from that video how really beautiful this asset is to our town. Brenda, let me start with your organization, the Friends of the Glen Manor House. What is their mission, and how did you guys get started?
Sure, Doug. We started about 4 years ago, and our mission is really, and our goal is to preserve the Glen Manor House for future generations of families here in Portsmouth by holding events throughout the year and raising some revenue to help the Glen Manor House.
Now, how did you get started? Was it just spontaneous from a group of citizens, or was the town looking for someone to do this?
Well, I think what happened is back, and I'm going to have to go back a little bit in history, 1973, I think the Glen Manor Authority was formed to really look at the Glen Manor House and make sure the house wasn't crumbling down. I mean, this was a beautiful French chateau from 1920s the Taylor family had, but you know, over the years it had started becoming, you know, run down. Okay, and so they started, and I think what happened is, if you look at the Glen Manor House Authority, their role, and that's how I got involved, was through the Glen Manor House Authority. Their role is really to oversee the Glen Manor House and all the capital improvements that are maintained in the house. And it's a working board that votes. The chair of the board is Richard Wimpress from Portsmouth.
Sure, I know Dick. Yes, absolutely.
And so that's how some of us started. Probably about 8 years ago we got involved. They were looking for, and I don't want to say younger, but you know, younger people to get involved. So what happened was they saw the need for generating some events that would be separate from the Glen Manor Authority, and that's where we got involved, and a few of us on the authority decided, let's do that. So last year I had the honor of serving as chair, and I've been there for this past year, but we've had some wonderful people involved. It's a great organization.
That sounds great. So the Glen Manor Authority is actually a town committee or a town established body. Just out of curiosity, there seem to be a lot of other organizations relating to the Glen Farms and Glen Park. Is the Glen Manor really a totally separate operation here? It seems like it is.
It is, definitely, yes.
So you really don't have anything really to do with the rest of those organizations?
Not other than, I'm sure, communicating, but you know, things that would affect the Glen Manor House, we would be made aware
obviously.
of. But
one of the things, for example, might be the Aquidneck Land Trust conservation easement proposal. What is the view of your group on that proposal for the town?
Well, our group supports the Aquidneck Land Trust easement, and we feel very strongly that the Glen Manor House needs to be preserved in any way it can be. And the Elmhurst School that's sitting there will eventually be run down, and they had offered $1 million to take away that building and make the area accessible to the Portsmouth residents and just maintain the beauty. And so we're very important about what happens around the Glen Manor House, because that affects the look of the Glen Manor
Absolutely.
House.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably be seeing that go to, hopefully go to the public either in the short term this year or early next year.
Right.
Can you discuss some of the kind of events that your organization has held at the Glen?
Sure. Actually, last night we had an event. It was called the Social. It's the annual social, and it's our annual meeting, which we open up to anybody who's a member of the Friends. And our goal really is to get every Portsmouth resident to become a friend of the Glen Manor House and show their support. So we had a social. It was just a beautiful night last night on the veranda, and we all brought appetizers to share, and we sat around looking at the view and just talking about, you know, the Glen Manor House and visiting with other Portsmouth residents that don't often get there unless they had been invited to a wedding there or had another reason to be there. So it's a nice event, and then we hold our meeting. And I should tell you, we meet once a month on a Thursday, the third Thursday of the month. So this was just a way to open it up to everybody and make it social. They could stay for the meeting or actually leave afterwards. So
Sure.
that's our social event. And I will talk about this later, but we have an event this coming Thursday, which is the American Band Concert, and that's one that we really want to focus on today. But let's look at what we do over the year. We had in May, we had a tea, a woman's tea, mother-daughter tea, and it was a fashion show. It was a wonderful opportunity to have a formal tea in a setting which probably maintained that years ago.
What a great idea.
It was a wonderful idea.
Sounds
We had
nice.
Cindy Kalavy teaching little girls how to formally participate in a tea. They were all dressed up, and they had a little children's fashion show, and so it was very, very well attended. And it's usually covered in the paper, and we've had pictures on our Facebook page. By the way, we have a Facebook page for Friends of the Glen Manor
great.
House, and I'll tell you a little more about our website and how to become a member.
I was just going to say, where do I join? Because it sounds very interesting. I think the party alone would probably be worth the price of admission. You know, that sounds great.
No, it's wonderful. Let me tell you a couple of other events, though. In December, we hold an open house, and that open house brings in a lot of different, I should say, venues. Or I give you an example. We had the Portsmouth Abbey a cappella group come in and sing. We had the Portsmouth High School chorus come in and sing. We had the dance troupe in town come in and perform. So different things happen, and we focus mostly on Portsmouth residents and what they do to entertain. And so we offer this free to the public.
Wow.
We solicit vendors from all over the state to bring in different foods so people are able to eat and get, you know, be entertained during that afternoon. It's a 2 to 4, and I think it's the second Sunday of December, but this coming year it's going to be December 9th from 2 to 4, and it's called the Holiday Open House, and we again advertise it in all the local papers. And then on December 1st, which kicks off the holiday season, and I have to tell you this has been going on for 37 years, is the Holly Ball. I don't know if you've ever had an opportunity to go to that.
Never have, no.
Well, you should think about it this year. But that's a wonderful way to kick off the holiday season. And that's a very formal ball, and it's catered, and there is obviously a price per ticket. It's free beverages and a full meal and live band and dancing. Wow. So it's really a fun event and something that everybody in Portsmouth should participate in.
Yeah, so again, how do I sign up? What do I need to do here?
Well, I can give you the form right now, but it's very easy. You can go to the Glen Manor House website, which is www.glenmanorhouse.com, and you can actually fill out an application online to become a Friends of the Glen Manor House. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We have, and I can tell you a little bit about our membership category options, which are tax deductible. It's very reasonable. We have an individual membership of $10, a family membership of $15. Wow. We have corporate memberships, individual patrons, and individual benefactors. So it's a wonderful way to get involved and show your support.
Absolutely, and this is such a beautiful place, as we just saw in the video, which the video, by the way, is on the is on their website.
Right.
So you can take another look at it. But I'm signing up. And,
Good.
and everybody should at least consider it. This is one of the real jewels we have here in Portsmouth.
Right.
One of the issues, of course, that people need to know, though, is that you all do generate quite a lot of revenue for the town of Portsmouth.
Absolutely.
Could you
Absolutely.
give us a few figures, perhaps, on that?
Sure. I mean, I have to tell you, I first have to speak so highly of Katie and Don Wilkinson, who actually oversee the running of the Glen Manor House. Without them, I don't know what we'd do. They're so organized. Don does a beautiful job. The gardening is exquisite. So with that being said, they run a tight ship over there. And they've been there since the early 90s. So since that time, they've generated over $1.6 million in the general fund for the town. And they have for capital improvements, which the Glen Manor Authority oversees, and these are improvements to keep this house.
Maintenance and everything. Yeah,
Absolutely,
sure, absolutely.
Because as you all know, Newport is a very competitive wedding market. And there's a lot of venues to use around this Aquidneck Island. So for us to be able to keep the town going, our totals for capital improvement were $1,189,000, so about $1.2 million. So we've.
So that's quite a bit of revenue for the town.
Yes.
And it also it's the amazing thing to me is that anybody can drive down there and just walk around and look at the beautiful views.
Right.
And you feel like you have a sense of what it must have been like in the old days, you know,
Right.
when people lived there and they had farms in the local area that were feeding into the house. Are you interested at all in increasing the number of events there? First, kind of how many events do you normally have a year there, or can you give me any kind of figure like that?
Yes, we have close to 100 events, and most of those events are wedding events.
So most of them be on a weekend primarily? Or?
Actually, people are being a little more creative now because the price goes down a little
Sure.
bit, having it on a weekday. So there's events there for weddings throughout the week. I mean, with a focus obviously on Friday, Saturday, and
Right.
Sunday nights, but people are being creative.
Okay, and if there are 100 events about it per year there is a opportunity for increasing that perhaps.
Sure.
To something more, and I just when I first started going down there, I couldn't believe that this was a town resource or a
Right,
town asset.
right.
And,
Me too.
And I think we all owe a vote of thanks to the town council back in the 70s when they decided to keep this place and go forward with it. I'm very excited about the event that you all have coming up next week, and again, it's one of these things. I lived in Portsmouth now for almost 30 years, and I've never been to one of these. But I'm going to remedy that next week. This is the American Band's pop concert at the Glen Manor House. Could you tell us a little bit about it, how it started, perhaps something about the band?
Sure. I'll tell you. I've been going for about 10 years, and I honestly don't have the actual date as to how long ago the American Band concert has been going on, but it's at least 10 years. And we're hoping we're going to order in the same weather we had last night.
Wouldn't it
which
be
was
nice?
Beautiful. And in all the years I've been going, there's only been one time that it rained. But I just want you to know that it's rain or shine. So the event goes on either way, whether it's inside or outside. But we're praying for good weather. So the event begins at 6:30. People can actually come on the lawns and bring a picnic, and that's what we suggest. There are some chairs set up, but we find that a lot of people bring their own lawn chairs, sit on the lawn, and enjoy, beautiful picnic and beautiful music. The American Band is the longest running band in the country, if I'm saying this correctly. There's about 50 members. Gene Pollard is the director. They usually have a vocalist, and I actually have a list of some of their songs, and I'm just going to tell you they're from very patriotic songs to they're going to be doing a little bit from Les Mis, some gospel music. So it'll be a variety of music to really entertain everybody. And what we find, a lot of families will come back, and a lot of young people will come back with their children and say, this is where I was married. So we see that connection all the time.
It's very exciting, and it's something that we need to promote more. I know you all have produced a flyer that's been up, and let me just put this up for our camera to focus on. You may have seen this around at the town hall, at the library in town, etc. But if you get a chance, come out. This is Thursday night. This coming Thursday, the 19th of July, and it should be a great time. I'm looking forward to it myself.
And can I mention one thing?
Please.
As you held that up, I wanted to make sure everybody realized the concert is a free concert, so it's no cost. But what we will have is a table set up for people to sign up to be a friend of the Glen Manor House. And we hope all of you that go to the concert do take the opportunity to think about signing up at that time.
That's great. Now, is this a sponsored event, or where do the funds come from to do this?
I'm so glad
kind of
you asked me that question. Newport Fed is the sponsor, and they have been for several years now. Bank in Newport was when I first started, but Newport Fed has sponsored it. So they cover the cost of the event.
Wow,
for
that's
us.
great.
The American Band is very reasonable in their charge, and Newport Fed takes care of that for us. So
Well,
it's great.
some of the ideas that we were kicking around before we started this program was perhaps trying to get the Navy Band, even the Boston Pops. I mean, might as well shoot for the best, or at least a small unit of those organizations to come down and do something like this too. And it would probably take some kind of corporate sponsor perhaps to help put this thing on. So I think, while people look at this thing, keep in their mind that you can always use corporate sponsors to do these things for the public. I know Town Administrator John Klimm is very interested in looking into trying to do more public events down there. Perhaps including, can you see, we talked briefly about the 375th. I try to bring that up at every one of these programs, which is next year. It's the 375th anniversary of the founding of Portsmouth in 1638. And what kind of events do you think would be appropriate for the Glen? I mean, if somebody were to write a play, for example, about some part of Portsmouth history, of which we have so much here, would something like that be feasible, or I know concerts, obviously.
Concerts are very feasible. The veranda area is beautiful. It's an overhanging stone patio, modeled after a French chateau. That's a wonderful venue. As we were talking about, it faces south, and they have the beautiful lawn that you can set up on and bring your chairs to watch anything from a musical to a concert.
Yeah,
So
I just think, we need to start thinking outside the box, and at one point I think we'll be trying to get several, if not all, of the committees in town to take a look at what we can do for this thing, and I hope I can count the friends of Glen Manor House in on this, because you guys would be a big part of this thing, I think.
Sure, we'd love to be.
And I think particularly as we move forward with this conservation easement issue, I think first people should go down there and see what we're talking about, drive around, look around at the territory, but certainly they should stop down at the Glen Manor House. And their chances of seeing Katie or Don are probably few and far between, because they're always running around doing something. Although I have to mention, I did run into Don yesterday as I just drove down to look around, and chatted with him for a bit. He was right in the middle of doing some kind of gardening on a tractor-like thing, so I didn't keep him very long. But a nice guy, and everything I've heard about them points to highly professional and doing a great job at taking care of this vital resource for the town of Portsmouth.
Absolutely, they're wonderful. I don't think people realize what they're doing to maintain the Glen Manor House.
A couple of weeks ago we had Gloria Schmidt on, and she's a great resource for the history of the place. And
yes, she is. Gloria's actually a friend of the Glen Manor House and comes to our monthly meetings.
She seems to intersect in most of these committees. Is Jim Garman, by any chance, also connected with you guys at all?
He may be a friend of the Glen Manor House, but he's not at the monthly meetings.
Yeah.
Those take the diehards that actually attend the meetings and are more of the committee chairs, but we would love more people to attend.
Sure. Well, I think there are a lot of possibilities here, and I think as actually go down there and see the Glen, see the Manor House, go to these events, they'll get a sense of what's important here in Portsmouth and how we have to preserve it and move forward with it. Have you had just about every member of the town council down there, I hope, at some point at the Glen Manor just to see it?
Yes, I know that during the Christmas open house, several
Sure.
members of the town council came to that event. So yes, they have. And the chairperson for the town council was there last night for the annual meeting, so that was good.
That was President Joe Robichaud
Yes,
of the town
I'm
council.
sorry.
Yeah. I've been out there going through Elmer's school with a couple of groups that went through there just to see what the condition looked like. And I don't know if you really know much about this, but have you been inside the chapel area there at all at the Elmer
I
school?
have not been inside the chapel area. I do know that, there is obviously some concern about making sure that the Elmhurst School doesn't get so run down to take away and detract.
I think the problem is it's already kind of a liability. If somebody were to get hurt down there, the town would be liable. But if you get a chance, you have to actually see that, and it's right next to Glen Manor House,
Right.
and it's just an interesting complex down there. But it's got these vaulted wooden ceilings. It's just one big room. It's not really, you wouldn't call it a chapel per se. It was just a big room. But it's got these vaulted wooden ceilings that look like brand new. And they're just so beautiful. You couldn't touch that today. It's got beautiful stained glass windows, which you can see driving by. And it just seems like if there was any way to maintain that or to keep that as something for the town, another public venue perhaps. You could look at this thing as perhaps use it for corporate meetings, a big auditorium, a playhouse for community theater. There's all kind of possibilities down there. So that's another thing that I recommend to everybody if they get a chance to get down there and see this. This is something else that will be being discussed in the coming months here in our town council, and people need to be informed of this thing by taking a look.
Right.
But also go down and look at the Glen Manor specifically, because that's just such a beautiful, beautiful space. Just a quick thing before we get out of here, I guess. What kind of advice would you give for people to come to the concert besides bring bug spray? I would guess they'd want to do that.
Well, absolutely. But oftentimes, because you're on the water, Doug, there's a beautiful breeze.
Yeah.
And the bugs aren't as bad as one might think. But certainly bring bug spray. I know I'm going to pick up probably some sandwiches and drinks and head down there. And you can actually come early, so you get more of the evening daylight.
Sure.
And so the ground's open at 5:30.
Okay, so it starts at 6:30. Now you're an old veteran at this, so you'd recommend people come early if they can.
Absolutely, to get a good
their
seat.
Space. How about parking? Do they use that little parking lot that's up on the other side of?
Yes,
across
there
from
there
Elmhurst
is
School?
there is someone that will actually show people where to park as they come down. Anyone who needs assistance can actually bring their car right down, and then
Okay.
can
We're
go
out of
right
time,
back up.
unfortunately, but I just want to leave you all with this. Make sure you guys go to this thing if you can. It's 19th on next Thursday. And Brenda, thank you very much for being here with us today to discuss this. That's all for me. We'll see you next time.